So I'm Cheryl. I'm your grateful platform assistant this morning. And we have already heard wonderful music from Anita and Bob. More of that coming up later in the service. And we have our very own Reverend Karen Gray with us this morning. So grateful that she's here to talk to us about abundance and prosperity. And I have chosen today a Sanskrit proverb. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all the realities and verities of existence, the bliss of growth, the splendor of action, the glory of power. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. And so it is.
All right. Well, that was absolutely delightful. Thank you so much, Bob and Anita. Beautiful music. Thanks to Cheryl for the introduction and the welcome. And thanks to everybody for being here as part of our Sunday gathering. I'm Reverend Karen Gray, familiar to most of us here gathered, and you're familiar to me too. And yes, indeed, as Cheryl said, October is Prosperity Month. And I would say it's Prosperity Month because our board president, John Bell, declared it to be so, because I was there in the room when he said, let's make October Prosperity Month. But here's the thing. Then this was like back in August, I guess, or even July. But then when October 1st came along and I opened up my Unity calendar, the top of it says, I am prosperous. And I took a photo of that and I sent it to John and I said, did you know this was happening? And he said, well, no, but can anybody say divine order? So it just keeps coming up. It is totally the theme. We are just honoring the theme that is and that has made itself known to us. So I would like to make myself a little bit more known to you. You've only known me for about 22 years, so let's get acquainted. I was born in Merced, California in July of 1962. On my birth certificate, my dad is listed as white. My mom is listed as Mongolian. I bet they don't do that anymore. And in those days, at least in Merced, California, they actually listed the home address of the newborn baby. And for us, that said Tanner Trailer Park, which doesn't exactly scream prosperity. But here we are. And the title of my talk is Start by Feeling Prosperous. So with a home address of Tanner Trailer Park as my starting point, do you think I started by feeling prosperous? I kind of did. I don't have any memory of life in the trailer park, but I've seen a photo. It's my mother standing in front of the trailer, looking stunningly out of place, very beautiful, poised in a stylish dress and dark sunglasses. She had come to the US from South Korea in 1957 on a voice scholarship. She sang opera. She met my dad at Birmingham Southern College. And then she broke the hearts of her aristocratic parents back home by staying in the US to marry this poor white son of a Southern Baptist preacher. Now, soon after my twin sister and I came along, our parents moved us and our older sister to a modest house outside of Phoenix. And from there, our lives were consistently over the years within reach of middle class, especially if you define middle class in terms of education and behavior rather than money. We never did have much money, but just enough, or almost just enough anyway. Now, by the time I was 14, my parents had split up and I was living with my dad and my older sister in Virginia. So resources became more strained and I learned to worry about them. I even went a couple years in high school without asking for a winter coat because I figured that that was the expense that would break us. And in the mornings, when my dad would go off to work and I would go off to school, he didn't see me when I left for school. I think if he had seen me, he would have suggested that I get a winter coat. But I didn't feel poor. There just wasn't a lot of money. And so I dealt with it in that instance by not getting a winter coat. Problem solved. After all, I was brought up by my father. Now, he had grown up poor. His family grew most of their own food on a small farm there in Alabama, and his mother used to sew clothes for him and all his siblings using the fabric that was on the seed and grain sacks. And when there was nothing else to eat, dinner would be cornbread and buttermilk. And I think that I might have wrinkled up my nose at the thought because he said to me, "Don't knock it if you haven't tried it." You see, he never felt poor either. Poverty is a feeling, not a number. It's a mindset. And mindsets are within our control. But we are not talking about poverty today. We are talking about prosperity. And it turns out prosperity is also not a number. It's a mindset. It's a feeling. And it's all these feelings and a constant flow and cultivation of feelings and consciousness. We choose that. We control that. We cultivate that. It's an ongoing process. And Charles Fillmore taught us and wrote for us that because we have so much information coming at us from without, the mass consciousness and our powerful 5 physical senses, we have to really work at our internal thinking. Otherwise, we will take in the concept of lack from without. So we need to work on the concepts that we nurture within to cultivate a consciousness of abundance, which is in alignment with the truth we know of God as the one substance, the one presence, the one power, and while I'm at it, all substance, all love, all life, all wisdom. Before I go any further, I do want to mention that my closet today is packed with winter coats. And I have to promise myself every year not to buy any more coats. I'm trying to achieve balance, not overcompensate, because our mindsets are largely a matter of the choices we make and the habits we follow. And habits can be hard to break, but all of it really does come down to choice. We have an incredible amount of choice to do, to not do, to think, to not think. We are at choice. All right, so coming from my early years, entering adulthood, I never had a poverty mindset. We were just not raised to think that way. It didn't occur to us. But I did have a mindset of just enough. Wouldn't want to be greedy. So my prosperity challenge, I realized that I had a maintenance mindset. Just have just enough to get by. And I wanted to turn that into an abundance mindset, because the abundance mindset, the prosperity mindset, means ease, freedom from worry, access to abundance, peace. Whereas the maintenance mindset means from time to time, I'm going to be juggling funds in my different accounts so that I can manage all my obligations. That gets tiring. Okay, I've made a lot of progress, but I do have to remind myself sometimes. But I do live with a lot more ease now. And a critical part of that is that I stay alert to what is it that gives me a feeling of prosperity. I identify it, I don't forget it, and I hang out there all the time. You know why I hang out in a feeling of prosperity all the time? If you're wondering, I will ask you to stop and wonder why you are wondering, because it is so obvious that I would want to hang out in a feeling of prosperity, because feeling good feels good. Now, first of all, what feels prosperous? And not just the obvious stuff, because certainly if we receive a really big check, that feels prosperous. If we get a year-end bonus, that feels prosperous. Fantastic. But it's really fun to figure out the personal things, the unique things for each of us. And we all have things that are just personal, that somehow make us feel like, yes, I got it going on. So one of mine, because when I was growing up, my dad always fixed our cars. He was a very super smart guy, a jack of all trades. He was really good at it. He fixed all of our cars. I'm telling you, that man totally had a maintenance mindset, though, okay? He worked on our cars when there was a problem. I didn't even know that regularly scheduled maintenance was a thing. Okay, so nowadays I do know about that. And so when I make an appointment at the auto shop, just because it's time and not because my car is about to conk out on me, I really feel like I'm living like one of those rich ladies. And that is fun. And I strut into the auto shop, and I don't know if any of them think, ooh, rich lady, she is right on time for her auto maintenance. But I feel that way. And let me tell you this, I never want to let go of that. I don't know if we'll ever be discussing it, but if you ever catch me forgetting how fortunate I am to be able to handle my car maintenance, remind me. Because I don't want to ever forget it. I want to soak it up year after year. This is what it means to feel prosperous beyond being prosperous. So far, we've just been talking about, financial stuff, which is great. But, we all want prosperity in the realms of our mental and emotional and physical health. We want prosperity in our spiritual lives. We want to be prosperous in our relationships, all good, all important, all valuable, and all intertwined. Prosperity means freedom from lack. Prosperity means access to abundance. All these areas are meaningfully intertwined because when you have one, you're more able to enjoy the others. And also because they are all expressions of God. They are all expressions of good. And so they are all intertwined. They are all expressions of God because what isn't? Here, as a refresher, is Emily Cady's first universal statement of affirmation. God is life, love, intelligence, substance, omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence. And I'm going to say it again. God is life, love, intelligence, substance, omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence. Now, one thing that was kind of mind-blowing about that one for me, when I first read it, was the idea that God is substance. That took some getting used to. So now I'm getting back to the financial or the material prosperity again. But, God as substance, I had to really wrestle with that a little bit to think of, you mean physical stuff? But of course, God is all of it. The substance of all the universe, which we see and sense around us, is all an expression of God. And I saw it again, and I was surprised again. So I guess I needed it again. The first time I went through The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. It's this. Some of you probably have it or you've seen it, The Abundance Book. And he's got in there, it's a nice, handy little book. We actually refer to it in the prosperity class that we're getting ready to start October 21st, right? It's not, it's definitely not what I'd call the textbook for that course, but it's the only material that I will ask participants to actually get. It's like $7 or $8, and I'll ask you to get it because we refer to it a lot for an exercise. So there's a series of statements of principle. And one of them says, the first one says, God is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. So there it is again. God is substance. So I don't know if it's for you, but for me, it's like, oh, really, really helpful. I mean, first of all, if God is substance, then I guess it's really okay to want more of it, right? And also, in unity, we are far beyond seeing God as an old man up in the clouds. But we, or at least I, am often inclined to think of God as without form and without body, and therefore as the antithesis of anything physical. But that's an oversight. God is substance too. God, just as God is wisdom, God is light, God is love. And so it's okay for me to, I don't want to devalue substance by saying, well, God couldn't be substance because that's just physical stuff. That's me devaluing something that is part of creation. So that's my little thing to work on myself, right? God is substance. Let's honor that. We can honor that. And wherever we are, we can find our prosperity, something that gives us the feeling of prosperity. Because that feeling of prosperity is what matters. It doesn't matter what number shows up on your bank statement. It doesn't matter how big or how small, because you can have any feeling attached to that number on your bank statement. But the feeling in your heart, the feeling you've got that you carry with you, the feeling that kind of sets your heart rate, that's your prosperity. And not only is that what matters because that's what you're experiencing, that's what matters because our feelings have generative power, creative power. Our feelings create our experience. Our consciousness creates, dictates our experience. Just this morning, I was reading a little Unity article about prosperity, and I took a screenshot for you, and I'm going to read it. I took it on my phone, right? And this was a little article written by Ellen Davenport, and she said, we have to work to remove our ingrained beliefs that money is hard to come by. or that we are pawns of outside forces, right? It's all from within. It's not from outside forces determining how much money we have. It's all from within. And then she quotes Myrtle Fillmore. Doesn't say, so Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, she doesn't say where Myrtle said this, but here's the line that she gives us from Myrtle. Begin right now to talk plenty, think plenty, give thanks for plenty. Plenty, plenty, plenty. Don't be thinking about lack. Don't be focusing on lack. Don't be claiming lack. Don't be affirming lack. No, plenty. Because that's the consciousness we want to cultivate, because when that is the consciousness we have successfully cultivated, that is the experience we will create and have and enjoy. So a couple of weeks ago, I was a guest on a video podcast kind of thing put on by the New Thought Media Network. The theme was prosperity, of course, faith and prosperity. And a woman, through the chat line asked a question. She said, how do you keep faith when your finances aren't financing? That was her, cute way of saying it, right? And I thought it was cute, had to smile. But the conversation moved along quickly and I was thinking slowly, which was a shame, because I really, really wanted to say to her, that's pretty clever, but please never say it again. Because when you say something clever like that, you are getting a moment of enjoyment in claiming lack. It's almost like you are in the cafe of the universe and you are saying to the server, I will have some of the no money is coming my way, please. You have just declared, this is my experience. My finances are not financing. It'd be okay in the past tense. There was once a time when my finances were not financing. Then you get the cleverness, but you're not claiming it as your present experience. You're not claiming lack. Do not hang out with what you don't have. Hang out with what you do have. What makes you feel prosperous? And if you're really, really, really aware of not feeling prosperous, if you're really, really aware of lack, I understand. I have been there. We have all been there. This is why we have our mighty minds and we can, choose where we're going to put our thoughts. Our thoughts are prayers. We know that. We affirm it all the time. So if you're experiencing lack, you may have to look harder, work harder, think harder, at least think with an open mind. And by the way, it's fun. So why not find our prosperity? And if right now you're not experiencing lack, woohoo, that's great. But don't feel left out. You can have fun also because there's all kinds of stuff that you might have forgotten to appreciate. You can always dig more. In fact, one of the little exercises we're going to do in our prosperity class is I'm going to ask everybody to think on it and come up with something that surprises even you that you are grateful for, something you might have forgotten to notice that you're grateful for. Whatever it is that you can think of that went better than you expected, that's actually good and you forgot that it's really good, that if it were gone, you would miss it now. Think about it and revel in it. Think about it and revel in it. I don't know. I must have been a Unity minister from my youth because I remember when I was like 18 and I had really bad vision. I had to have since then I got LASIK, yay. I still wear something, but it's a lot better, right? And even then I had to have serious glasses, right? And I remember even thinking, well, but I can see all the colors and my vision is correctable to 20/20. So that's pretty good. And just like, would I have missed those things if I didn't have them? You bet. So why should I sit around and lament the fact that I was severely nearsighted? You got to find what you've got and just think, that is amazing. I love these colors, man. I love seeing purple and lavender, and I love seeing indigo blue. I love that I can distinguish the colors. You got to revel in what you've got. Do you have a comfortable chair at home? That is amazing. Not everybody has that. Revel in it. And if you are so lucky that you even have a second one in case a friend comes by to visit, that is fantastic. Give yourself 3 minutes to think about how cool it is to have those comfortable chairs. Do you have a nice view from your home? or from your commute to work. Amazing. Spend a little extra time noticing it. Do you have a friendly dog living next door? Lucky you. Have you said a gratitude prayer about that lately? Find your prosperity. Find it, find it, find it. It's like taking a vitamin, it's like, you know what? I haven't had any oranges lately, so I'm going to take a vitamin C pill. You just find it because it's good for you. It's really important to feel grateful because our feelings are generative. And feeling good feels good. Bonus. Prosperity is not about numbers. It's about mindset. It's about feelings. It's about consciousness. Everything in life is about consciousness. Our consciousness determines our experience, and our consciousness is up to us. We cultivate our consciousness through gratitude, deliberately through affirmations, through deliberate choices. Where do we spend our attention? Whatever money we have or do not have is a result of our thoughts, our consciousness on the topic. We either set the flow in motion or we clog it up just like hair in the drain. And I'm sorry, I know that is disgusting. But yes, it is. It is disgusting to block our good. It is disgusting to block the good that is trying to flow for us when we could have more of God, more of God, more of God. Because that is what this is. This is basics. With God, all things are possible. At the level of spirit, all things are possible. The gateway to that is our consciousness. Therefore, in order to choose our outcomes, which we all want to do, in order to choose our outcomes, we need to choose the consciousness that we cultivate. Our thoughts are prayers. And for me, it is not a simple two-step process. I don't just decide on a thought and therefore this thing, materializes. It's an ongoing process. And that is why for me, it is super helpful. I would even say essential that I spend at least 15 minutes, but it's really more like 45 minutes every morning, submerging myself in thoughts that reinforce the consciousness of my unity with God and all that is. I have to do this, especially since my mind wanders. And so if I'm sitting for 45 minutes, maybe I'm getting 12, 14 minutes of solid meditation happening, So I got to be realistic and sit and give myself that time priority. It's all just about truth, being quiet, being still. That's key for giving ourselves access to truth. We are always trying to bring ourselves more and more in touch with truth. Now, I may not need to say this next bit, but since God is substance, since God is all, then clearly material abundance is A-okay. You mean there's nothing wrong with going after money all the time? There's nothing wrong with that being my priority? But hold on. Money is not a problem, but idolatry is. So making money the priority would be a problem. Two key truths about money. One is that money is the means to an end, merely a tool. It is not the goal itself. Number two, money is not our supply. It is merely a representation. Money is not a real thing. It is just symbolic. All good already exists. God created it. Money is just an economic mechanism that humans have created. God is the source of infinite abundance. Banks are not the source. Your employer is not the source. There is only one source, and that source is infinite, and that source loves you. That source is all good, and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, Charles Fillmore went so far as to say that poverty is a sin. You have heard that? Many of you have heard that. Some of you have been Unity students for a long time. And I looked it up. I read the book Poverty just, last month just to be sure that I'm not misquoting from somebody else misquoting and from somebody else misquoting, right? But I read it in the book Prosperity. And he does. He says poverty is a sin. And what's really cool about this is it means that we get to talk about sin in church, which in Unity, we don't get to do very often. So this is a total bonus, because not only do we get to talk about what poverty actually is, but what sin actually is. So for those of you who grew up in Unity, this might be boring. But, you know, for many people, the idea of sin means, ooh, bad, bad, deserving of punishment. But that is not what sin means for us, our understanding of it. Sin means you have separated yourself from the divine. So that is not a small matter. It's serious, but it doesn't mean evil. It just means, whoa, you know, time to course correct, get back into alignment. This is not good. But it's not evil. It's not calling for punishment. And the sin of poverty means that, oh, you have fallen out of alignment with the infinite good that we call God. That's why poverty would be a sin. It's because it means you've separated yourself from the allness of the divine. Fillmore, in the same book, actually says that the truly lamentable behavior is the hoarding of money, which keeps it from circulating freely to all who need it. We are all meant to be part of the flow. That's what is meant by the statement that poverty is a sin. Poverty denies the very nature of God, which is a constant, abundant flow of good. And yet, it's not always comfortable somehow to want more financial abundance. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples at two different ends of a spectrum. One is Reverend Jim Webb, who's a friend of mine. He leads the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel right outside of DC, and he's going to be our speaker in November. He demonstrates a valuable lesson in this regard. Many years ago, I attended a class that he was teaching at his house. And when folks would arrive for the class, you know, each of us would pay a class fee. And he had us just put the money down on the table, right in the middle of the room. He did this all the time. And he did it to destigmatize money. He did it every time, but he explained one day that he did it because people were often kind of sheepish about money, wanted to be, you know, discreet. And he just wanted to destigmatize it. Like, there's money. Just put it here so you see the money. Big deal. Okay. I thought that was pretty cool. On the other end of the spectrum, there's this piano player. It's not Bob Sykes, okay? This other jazz piano player that I played some gigs with. I'm telling you, this guy, very good piano player. But at the end of the gig, when he would give us a check, for some of you who don't know, I'm a jazz vocalist. Okay, so I would be on these gigs. At the end of the gig, he would hand us a check. You'd think it was a drug deal or something. He would fold the check up real small and then just kind of very subtly slip it into your hand so nobody would see it. You know, like we've done something bad because I'm comfortable with money. Well, between those two guys, I will tell you which one is living a lifestyle of more abundance and prosperity. I'm sorry, I don't mean to oversimplify, but you got to have some comfort with money if you're going to have money, I think. Is there some shame associated with that money? And then, by the way, there's yours truly, Miss Karen Gray here, because it was like 12, 15 years ago that I first walked into Unity of Silver Spring, which is not there now. They merged with Unity of Baltimore. But I walked into that church for the first time. Reverend Alan White was the speaker, the head minister, and he was up there speaking. And he referenced this book, the Abundance Book. He had a few of them, you know, they had a bunch of books out on the book table. And he referenced this one and he said, oh, by the way, that's a really good book. If you haven't gotten that, you might want to pick that up. I thought, well, that sounds interesting. But in my mind, I knew there was no way I was going to go over there in front of everybody and pick up that book and buy it. Two reasons. One is I didn't want to look greedy, like I'm trying to get money. And then secondly, I didn't want to look like I'm going to try to get money through some gimmicky book instead of just working hard. So apparently I had my own hangups about this abundance and prosperity principle. You know, it took me a few years, I'm not kidding, a few years to get the book. And then it probably took me a few years to open it. It's a really good book. I have now gone through it. There's some exercises. I've done them many times. The thing is, it's never gimmicks. It's never a trick. It's always about mindset shift. That's what matters. And that's what's powerful in this book. Just some basically statements of affirmation that are really good to work on mindset, consciousness. If I thought this were just me, I wouldn't tell you because I wouldn't want to waste your time. But I'm telling you this because I don't think I'm the only one who sometimes struggles with whether it's okay to want more money in life. And the book is written about money, but I'm telling you, it is not all about money. It's all about abundance in all areas of life. And when I look at it, when I read it, I'm reading it about all aspects of life. It's all intertwined. All of God's good, it's all intertwined. Anywhere, financial or otherwise, that we are experiencing lack, we are experiencing separation. Separation from what then? Separation from the allness, separation from the everything, separation from God. Are we okay with that? Is that okay? Of course not. See, I think we learn to be okay with not having a lot of money or whatever. We can learn to live with that. But when we realize that what we're really doing is being apart from the one presence, well, then we wouldn't be okay with that, right? And that connection, that's the essence of life. Prosperity is just a symbol of it. Get comfortable with not having quite enough money. We learn to live with maybe our health isn't great. We learn to live with less. But if we remember that it's all God, then we realize that, well, I'm not actually okay with not having enough of that. I'm not actually okay with that kind of separation or limitation. Prosperity is only a symbol of the allness. Having a lot of stuff means nothing. But having the feeling of prosperity is a way to love God's good company. As I mentioned, the title of my talk is Start by Feeling Prosperous. Start by feeling prosperous. And it's time now for me to wrap up my message. And I also want to wrap up my message by feeling prosperous. And I hope that you're with me in that, just feeling prosperous. And I challenge you to look around you today, whether you're home or out in the world, and notice something that you might not have noticed if you weren't trying. Something that, I'm glad it's there. I'd kind of miss it if it weren't. And revel in it. Because that's a feeling of prosperity. We are going to turn to meditation now. Let me first say that Charles Fillmore's definition of prosperity, it's actually a long paragraph, but I'm going to share just highlights. Here's what he said. True prosperity is a consciousness that recognizes the individual's oneness with infinite mind. Prosperity is a state of consciousness in which there is no lack of anything good, a consciousness of well-being. It's the consciousness of abundance based on an understanding of God as the inexhaustible resource of good, which is open to all. He then shared a statement, which Jen shared as our affirmation at the beginning, or Cheryl and Jen together shared as the affirmation at the beginning of our service. And we're going to kick off our meditation with that statement. But first, we'll go to our meditation song. I invite you to get comfortable, relax, and we prepare for meditation time together. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. So Charles Fillmore's invitation to us was this: stop and give yourself a treatment for the cleansing and renewing of your mind. You'll see on the screen the statement that he shared. And you can look at that screen if you'd like. I'm going to read it out loud. And then you can close your eyes or relax however you want to. And I'll share some more affirmations, and then we'll have a little bit of silence. I acknowledge God, divine mind, to be my unfailing and unlimited resource. Now relax and take that in. And allow these words and thoughts to resonate within you, and see if you can make them your own. I place my entire focus on God within as the only cause of my prosperity. I place my faith in the principle of abundance in action within me. The activity of divine abundance is eternally operating in my life. The inner presence is the only activity in my financial affairs. And finally, I contemplate and recognize the energy of money, which is my spiritual consciousness, and I let the form appear. Now let's just take a few minutes in the silence to sit with the presence. And we'll move out of this moment of collective meditation. I'll go back to Charles Fillmore's statement, but this time I'll make it a statement that's not about us as individuals, but about us as a community, Unity Center DC. So our closing statement there will be, we acknowledge God, divine mind, to be our unfailing and unlimited resource. And so it is.
Well, what a wonderful service this has been. So grateful to Anita and Bob for their music. And Karen, thank you so much for reminding us that prosperity is about so much more than just money. Thank you. Um, the closing prayer is from our booklet, The Power of Prayer, and it is called The Prayer of Abundance. I turn within to remind myself that I am one with Spirit, with Source, and the one true Creator. I have all that I need. I know that resources are always available to me to create what feeds my passion for a magnificent, loving life. As I open to the awareness of divine energy and wisdom in me, I find myself blessed by grace in innovative ways to use what is already at my disposal. I listen to guidance given to me in the form of divine ideas to bring forth beauty and success in my life. I now release any thought of lack or limitation. I recognize that as I am willing to give, I already have received. Thank you, God, for the glory of this abundant universe and the myriad ways it supports all my desires. And so it is.